Hi, this is Jan Dalton, and you're listening to the Matt Ballaker podcast.
Today's guest has a PhD in not giving up. She knows what it's like to be a busy mom with a full-time job. She's an innovator in the natural food world and founder of eBars, a functional nutrition company. Please welcome Jan Dalton to the program. How you doing, Jan?
Hi, I'm doing well. Thank you for having me on. Thank you. And I do have to say, my husband is founder with me. I want to make sure I include my hubby.
Well, that's very nice of you. I understand you've been dealing with some inclement weather the last few weeks. How has the snowstorm affected business?
How did it not? No one could get out. Of course, you're in Tennessee. You know, we're in Tennessee, and I went on Facebook and I saw jokes about Tennessee and snow weather everywhere because obviously we're not used to a lot of snow and ice. And but it was funny because my son, who's in college in Texas, he says, "Mom, they don't have snow trucks here," and they were out everywhere here. And I'm thinking, they don't even have snow trucks, and so ice trucks. And so it was business was down. The ice this time, though, we don't have ice storms. We get snowstorms, but it looked like a tornado had ripped through all of Tennessee. I mean, it was everywhere. So it was trees down, everything. It was about 7 days. Some people went 10 days without power. I mean, it was definitely a serious storm.
Well, I can relate. I'm in Southern California, and we had about a quarter inch of rain a week ago. So I know the struggle, Jan.
No, you guys we follow last year and the year before, I think, with fires and different things that you guys were going through. We were all sitting, watching and praying over you all.
Well, that's true. Like, I'm kind of joking about the weather, but we have fires, we have earthquakes, we have ridiculously high taxes, we have lots of homeless. It's just different problems. So depending on the month or day. But I want to learn more about your stories. So take us back before you were with eBars. You were a busy working mom. What were you doing then? Call it 14, 15 years ago.
Oh my goodness. So about closer to 16 years ago, I was a single mom for 7 years. My husband was a single dad for about 10 years. So I worked a full-time position at a corporate design firm, but I had a psychology degree that I'd never used except to pretty much do psychology on myself. So, but then I also worked a side job cleaning homes. I had a cleaning business where I partnered with realtors to go in and do move outs, things like that. And so I was 24/7, but I was also, was sharing with someone not too long ago. I was that mom that was always looking over my shoulder. I always thought like I'm not doing a good enough job, like always wondering when the ball was going to drop. And so I lived a good portion of my life like that. So coming into what we do now has been a growing experience. I wish that I had known what I know now then, because I was with my job for 12 years and for 12 years looked over my shoulder.
Wow.
Wondering.
Yeah, you're always wondering, am I going to get a report card on my parenting skills? What is my mom grade this semester? It's I think it's something a lot of parents go through. Like you always know, like, you're not doing the best or you could do better, and it just weighs on your mind.
Yeah. And it's sad. Now I look back and I hear my son like, "Mom, you did a great job with me." I'm like, "Thank you." And the fact that I kept the job for 12 years, again, not knowing when it was not going to be there, I think that I was in survival mode all the time.
That's a good way to explain it, because when you're in survival mode, there's very little reflection. There's not a ton of planning beyond the week or the month.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only years later you can look back and kind of have perspective. And in the moment, it's like being in a snowstorm in Tennessee with ice around you and all that good stuff. But you mentioned you had a psychology degree. What was your first, we'll call it, real job?
Straight out of school, I had a brief job where I was training doctors on dictation systems, and I had no idea what I was doing. And so they brought a lot of people in like me, sent us to Wilmington, North Carolina, and a couple of other places. And a few months later, they were giving us severance packages to go away. And so it was pretty bad. And I had never traveled. I mean, it was like so much fun for me, but I had no idea what I was doing. And so when I came back, the job that I had really wanted, I fell in love with this building, with the people, and I had wanted it and met this company and several people in there right before I got that job. So that was kind of that intermediate thing. Then I came back, went to work for a corporate design firm and worked for someone for 12 years. And I loved it. Had an amazing, I mean, we had the best time, worked with a great group of people, great bosses. It's funny because when my husband and I started this business, running our own business, and I had never hired people before. Now, I'm probably veering off, but I had never hired anyone. And so all of a sudden, we're hand rolling out bars. We didn't even have all the machinery yet. And we were now going and hand rolling things out. And I'm thinking, I've heard every excuse in the book. Like, I actually called my boss a year later and I said, I'm sorry. I just want to apologize for every excuse that I ever gave coming in. I don't feel good. Traffic. And I'd heard it all. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, Lord.
Isn't that, yeah, what were some of the more memorable excuses you came up with?
I don't want to even say.
Oh, fair enough. Maybe that you've,
Yeah.
I guess, put a note.
You,
What
you're
what are some
involved,
things?
right? So you would probably, I'm sure you've done a lot. So I don't want to give you any ammunition.
Fair enough. But I mean, I can relate to some extent because for about 11, 12 years, I was an employee. And then I kind of went it on my own. And I realized, wow, it was very easy to be an employee. Like some of the stuff I complained
Oh,
about, like, especially when it came to like breaks and pay or being late. It's like when you're paying someone else to do it or when you're on your own, you don't, I mean, you can take a break, but you're going to pay for it. Like, I guess what are some of the perspective shifts you had when you were no longer a employee?
I have an appreciation for business owners that I didn't understand. And it's not like it was my fault. I had never really been a business owner. I mean, I had a cleaning business, but it was me, myself, and I. And it was again survival mode. And so I think when I worked for someone else because I was still in survival mode, I never stopped to get out of myself to think, what did they go through
Mm.
to get this business where it's going now? I mean, they had families, they had everything that I was going through. What did it take for them? And I think now when I look back, there's some things I would do differently. And talking about some of the complaining, complaining. I was a big complainer. And, I walk into this place now with such a grateful heart because of what I've been through here to get this off the ground. That, I mean, my husband and I have been through so much that now I walk in with such a gratitude of thank you that I get to walk through the door. And back then, I wish that I had known thank you that I get to walk through the door
Mhm.
because whether you've got teams that you don't get along with, whether you've got bosses, employees that you don't get along with, there is a gratitude that I've learned that I think if I were going back in time, if I had had this gratitude, just being grateful to walk in the doors,
Mhm.
whatever light I'm supposed to be in that moment, that it's about me. It's about my relationship with the Lord. It's about my relationship that I'm to love others, even if the love isn't coming back.
Mhm. Yeah, it's easy to have gratitude when love and is reciprocated, but how can we be better at it when it's not coming back to us?
Yeah. So that's probably a big thing for me, a big shift.
Yeah, almost every New Year's, my resolution is to improve gratitude. So I come up with different ideas. I usually like writing 3 things down, and around February, I fail or I'm just not
What
as
is that?
consistent.
How long does that last?
Yeah, well, if you've added it up, it's probably been over a year. So I feel good about that, but it's taken me, 13 years to do that. What tips do you have, if any, for us to live a life with more gratitude?
Well, one of them. think remembering certain moments in your life, okay? Because like one of my moments, I was complaining, walking into the business we have now, a couple of years into it. You know, you're on fire starting the business. You've got your goal, you've got all the things you're going to do and all the people you're going to help in life. And then all of a sudden you get in and you forget why you even did it. It's like it's such an uphill battle that I again couldn't get off of myself. Woe was me, right? And I remember I was started complaining. I started locking the doors so people couldn't come in. And my husband's like, "Why are you locking the door on people?" I was like, "Because I have to do a job." And I was getting so much about it being a job instead of it being an opportunity. It's an opportunity every day that I come in to love somebody, to help somebody, to do something outside of myself. And I remember as plain as day, as plain as you and me talking right now, I was complaining, murmuring, and all of a sudden I heard the words, "If you don't want this, I can remove it tomorrow." I'm not kidding you, and I'm not exaggerating. When I say a fear came over me, an awe and a reverence and a fear, it was like I hit my knees, I started crying. I went home crying. I don't even remember if I slept, but I remember walking in the doors the next day with a gratitude that I had. It's like a mindset shifted in me. And it's been that way ever since. I say that ever since. There was one more moment that I had the 8th year into this, but that particular moment was 2 or 3 years into it, and there was a major mindset shift in that I get to do this. Every day I get to come in and do this.
Wow, so it's really your approach to it. It's kind of crazy when something can be taken away. You're like, oh, I have nothing to push against. So the source of all my complaining will be gone, and it's always replaced by something else. But I want to rewind a bit. Tell us what motivated you, Jan, to kind of stop being an employee and start this business.
My husband, I don't think I would have left. I was very comfortable. And again, I loved the people I worked with, but I was also comfortable. And I
Mhm.
think that's keeps us in a lot of places at times. And I remember I thought he was already a business owner, and I thought I'm never going to see him if I don't quit. I just knew we were supposed to work together. And I thought I was going to be going into the golf business with him because he was in the golf business. I don't even play golf. And it was like, okay, I'm going to do this. I put in my notice, and a year later, I am still sitting at my desk at work. And at this point, my boss is walking by going, I'm going to have to fill this spot at some time. When are you leaving? And I'm like, that comfort zone was so hard for me to get out of that my boss, who great guy, but he almost had to kick me out of the nest. And it was like, and so that was that moment when I finally said, okay, I'm leaving. But 2 weeks after I left, someone made an offer to my husband on his business. And all of a sudden he sold it. And I'm like, we're jobless. We're jobless. I've never been jobless before. And so I was at a whole different panic, but we knew pretty instant that we were supposed to do what we were doing now. I mean, it
So
was pretty quick.
wow, so you're both sort of jobless, under pretty unique circumstances. But I mean, why functional health? Why nutrition? Like what? Because that's a pretty esoteric business. It's pretty difficult, it's highly competitive. Why that?
So he was when we met, he was already making bars at home. He had
Mm.
had a health issue. I can't remember now. I don't tell this very often. Kidney stones, I think. And he was trying to find healthy things to eat. And someone was teaching him about health and nutrition. So he started making semi-healthy bars at the house. And
Mm.
when we met, I didn't eat bars at all. I was like, McDonald's, fast food, single mom, 2 jobs. I don't have time. And so his son would take them to school and sell them. And then
Attaboy.
blended family instantly. And then my son looked up to him, so started eating them. And then my friends that were meeting David were like, "Ooh, we want those." And at that point, he was like, "I don't ever want to make these again. I don't get to eat them." And so that was kind of the beginning journey of me learning how to eat healthy. Was really him coming in, and he was already doing it.
Okay. And so was the motivating factor for him to avoid kidney stones? Because I understand for men, it's like the closest thing to childbirth. It's like,
Yeah.
thank God I haven't had to go through it yet, but I know it very
Not
painful.
necessarily, you're
It's
not going to. Don't say yet. You and I,
okay, good.
I'm gonna
Well,
be
if I eat right and have some eBars. I
Yeah.
won't have to squeeze anything out like that. But like, what were in these bars? Like, he wasn't a nutritionist, right? He was just someone who had a problem to fix. And
No, yeah, he just had a problem to fix. And again, the bars that we were making at home, they weren't like they are now. They're more advanced in what we're doing now, but it really started with that. And then when we decided to, we both said yes. We knew we were supposed to go into making them. We'd never made bars outside of in our house. And the minute though we came into agreement and said, we're going to do this. It's not like we had a game plan. We just said all we were starting with was yes. Do we agree with it? He started having dreams for 2 solid weeks, night after night after night. It was crazy of names of bars. And then I'm panicking. I'm like, oh my God, we only have one bar. What are you doing? How are we going to make that many in our kitchen? So it was like, and then morning when he woke up, another dream, I was like, how are we going to trademark these names? Like, the bar names, man, woman, focus. I'm like, this isn't normal. And he said, well, I was dyslexic when I was little as a child in school. I was dyslexic and diagnosed with ADD. And he was like, I learned by acronyms. So I think we're supposed to have acronyms for the names. And sure enough, I'm thinking, surely somebody's done it. So everything that we did was really based off of not knowing how to do it. Nobody yet had told us we couldn't do it. And it's kind of like someone that doesn't, they don't have voices telling them they can't do something. So you just go and you try it. And that's when we found out, wow, we really can trademark these. So we started with one bar and like 30 names. And so we started with the all of the law work with it and getting the trademarks and all that stuff done first. So there was a lot of groundwork that had to be laid for it.
Well, so you say you started the law work for first. Years ago, I had a patent for this exercise device that I invented with a friend, and we spent so much money on patent attorneys and trademarks and all that stuff. And I never knew if there was a big enough market for it. Fast forward with it, I'm not in that business. I don't think there's a big enough market for it. Like, did you just have faith that customers would buy this, or was it the kids at your son's school? Like,
No,
when did you
no,
realize like there's a demand for this?
it was it was when he gave the recipe away and said he didn't want to
Mm.
make them anymore. And we had given it, he just started giving it to people. And we're like, here, just take it. Y'all go make them. Because we had a lot of friends that were triathletes and a lot of athletic, things. So they would always eat really healthy. Well, they loved them. And so it was fast forward. We were at a dinner with someone and bar had been named the Man Bar. So by friends. And so now the recipe is traveling and it was an old recipe, of course, but this guy at a restaurant that we were with puts his arm around David to another guy, another couple we were with, and says to that guy, oh, by the way, this is the Man Bar guy that you're making their bars or making his bars. And the guy stands up and goes, dude, he was like, we make those for all of our friends. They love them. And my husband looked like a deer in headlights. He was like, what have I done? And so that night when we went home, that was when we first agreed, let's do this. But we just we didn't have the background, no equipment, nothing. So everything we did was really based on, we don't know how to do this. Let's try it. Even the first piece of equipment, I was like, he called me from show and said, hey, so-and-so has this bar. They have this piece of equipment and they make bars with it. Let's get it. And I'm thinking, and remember, he had sold a company. So we had a fund that we were using at the time. And I was thinking, will it fit in our garage? Okay. So I'll make them up here. We'll go to the garage and run it through. I mean, I had no idea. It was just ignorant of not knowing. But we bought the machinery and then it came in too big. So
Of course.
that's how we moved into our first spot where we would put the machine. And then it just started growing from there. I mean, it was like, I don't know how to explain it it was like we knew we were called to do this because things kept falling into place.
Mhm.
There was peace in it, as it was falling into place. And
Well,
so
you said there's peace in it. Big caveat. I love my wife. I don't want to go into business with her. It sounds kind of terrifying. Like, how did that alter the dynamics of your marriage? It sounds like it was good, but what was the reality?
the reality was we were new in marriage and
Mm.
we went from single parenthood, both of us, to instant blended family. There's a 15-year difference. So I was also a grandmother now. And it was so, everything happened so fast. And then 2 years into the marriage, we're about to start a business together. And so 8 years into it, truly 8 years into, I even made a woman cry one time. She came in. I did not know she and her husband had tried to do a business together. And I mean, I was just stubborn, picking fights. I was not wanting to submit. I was like, not submit in a healthy way. I mean, I was just like, oh, I can't do this. And again, that was a couple of years into that complaining part, right? And so when someone walked in our front door, I remember it was a rainy day. I had been pressing my husband's buttons, and she walks in with hope, only I didn't know that's why she walked in. She had had a business with her husband that had failed. I did not know it, and I downloaded, and it was not good. And I remember she starts crying, shares the story with me, and I'm thinking, what have I just done? And it wasn't too long after that where I heard, if you want this, if you don't want this, I can close the doors tomorrow. And my perspective changed. But then it doesn't mean everything smoothed out. 8 years into it, I'm thinking, we're not going to make it.
Wow.
And we are working around the clock. And every time we would start to get ahead, COVID hit. Every time we would start to get ahead, something else would happen. And it was like, and I don't know, I just hit this place that I won't go into right now, another show, but I just hit this place. But I think that place that I hit was so rock bottom about myself as a wife, about a business owner, that it took about a month into that down place. I hit that bottom. And as I'm crying out, I was like, God, there has to be more, because now I'm so about me that I've forgotten why we've done this. I'm so in survival mode again that I've forgotten why we started this in the first place. And there was a pivotal moment that happened when all of a sudden the joy of why we're doing it. And my husband and I, the joy in our marriage, all the joy started coming. And we both said to each other in tears, we thought we knew how to do this. We don't. And can we come to an agreement that we're in this? We're in this. Too many people's lives are at stake of what we're doing now, because now we're making things for people's health that is so far beyond us that it's kind of like I said, it's kind of like I'm going to hold up my keyboard. I'm in the middle. David and I are this you and the Y, and all
Uh-huh.
the people out here are why we're doing what we're doing. And that if we're in the middle, giving it everything we've got, trusting the Lord to do the rest, it's like that He's the one really doing it for all these people, because we get phone calls from people all the time. I mean, no one told us when we were learning how to make chocolate. We didn't know how to make chocolate. And so David's like, I don't want to learn to make chocolate, but we're going to have to make the bars taste better, because we were putting so much into them to build the immune system. So 8 months, took him 8 months to learn how to make chocolate. So finally we realized we'd made a diabetic friendly chocolate and didn't know it. And so,
Wow.
yeah, so there's so many health benefits to what we're doing that we knew it was beyond us.
And what makes it a diabetic friendly chocolate?
Well, that's the ingredients that go in. That would be a him question. And one day I know you
Okay.
enjoy meeting him. I say that he's over in the next office. He's getting work done. It really was. He kept feeling like hearing that still small voice say, no, it's make it better. Make it
Mhm.
better. Like, to give you an example, we have a Calm bar. Somebody would say, why do you call it Calm? Well, we had ran into a couple of people that were doctors, more natural doctors. And they said, did you know if you put rhodiola, ashwagandha, and cordyceps together, it brings you a natural calming effect without having to take medication? And so we were like, well, could we put it in a bar? What would it do in a whole food cold press bar? Because our bar is really natural. And we were like, nobody told us we couldn't do it, so let's try it.
Mhm.
And making the chocolate brought in the taste. It was like we knew. So things like that have gone in the products that we're making, it was just kind of let's just get in and try it.
Let's just I love that attitude, and it's one thing to try it, but this is also your livelihood. Like, when did you build traction? I know you're in several retailers now. You're you're in Tennessee, and I'm sure beyond before long. Who were the first kind of non-family or friend adopters of your products?
Whole Foods. Whole Foods came in pretty early and they had told us, they had told my husband, you've created a new class of bars, but we don't know what to do with you. And so we can put you in a bar aisle, so people can see you. We can put you in a vitamin aisle because we have a vitamin bar. We can put you in, it was like, so we had to make a decision. We did try distributors, using distributors. That about put us under. There was so much that we didn't know how to do at the time, but then the door opened for us to go in direct with Whole Foods, and they've been amazing. I mean, with us, and we're in the southern region. And we had always been told, now you're in California, right? You being in California, it was like, oh, if you had started in California, you would have already taken off. Or if you were here, and I was just like, listen to this accent. See, homegrown and can't escape it. And so I'm really proud that we were in Tennessee and in Franklin, but it was definitely a harder journey. And most people look at bars and they're like, don't even care what it does because we've heard it all from bar companies.
Yeah.
Is it organic and does it taste good? And so we had that checkbox. They're just now getting wind of what it is we really do because we have bars. My husband wanted to make a focus bar because of his dyslexia when he was younger and ADD issues. He was like, can we make something that helps aiding and waking up the neurotransmitters, helping someone not have sugar crashes, but intensify if they start to drop at 2 o'clock, but they've still got a full work day, or a kid sitting in school and doesn't want to take medication or pills first. Can we give them an option, and will it have a function that they can feel the effect? And that was really kind of what we were going for, is can we give somebody an option? And so we created a focus bar for people and started testing it out. And it just started taking on it really just took on a life of its own.
Wow. And what was the transition from making these in your home to now? I mean, how does that work?
Well, to tell you, we didn't know we were starting to run out of funds by the time we were getting in here. And we still had a piece of equipment that only would work if we had the rest of the equipment to go with it. And so we were now learning how to package, but we were hand rolling everything out. And finally we had said, we're going to have to take on a private. We're going to have to do something. So we were like, well, private label. And oh my goodness, all of a sudden we're hand rolling out 17,000 bars. It was insane. It was not fun. And that was like a wake up call to us, like, okay, what have we done? But it's almost like it threw us into the deep end. We were getting comfortable again, right? That whole thing, when you get comfortable, you're almost like, Lord, I need you to step in and throw me in the deep end if I'm getting too comfortable. And so all of a sudden we're in the deep end, but we're learning and we're being fast forward in our learning, and it enabled us to get more equipment. And that really started teaching us how to do what we're doing now with our own product.
Wow. I want to get your take, Jan. There's several misconceptions about health food, and I know you're passionate about this. Like, what does it mean to be organic when it comes to food? I mean, I hear it all the time, but honestly, I couldn't give a good answer. What say you?
And this is where I think you're going to have fun with my husband, because I laugh. I'm like, I married a nerd and I didn't know it. 'Cause once we started this, he was like chemistry, science. I'm like, what's happening to you? And he's like, I don't know. It's just coming out. And, and I'm like, all the stuff that he wishes he had in school is now coming out while we're older. But he went on this journey of organic. Like, we have to give, if we're going to make this for other people, it's got to be the best. And we just kept hearing organic, organic, organic. And from what I understand about organic, I think there's 2 or 3 types. And he would probably be in here correcting me right now. I'm sorry. But there's like so many parts per million or something there's like 95% organic. There's 100. I don't know. He's got all of that down better than I do. But I just know the chemicals, the pesticides, the things that are going into the soil and how long it even lasts in the soil, how many years it will last in there, and what they have to go through to be organic and to be certified, having the USDA come in and look at all your when I tell you that that certification, it is not easy.
Yeah.
If I just want, because there was times where I was like, can't we just put organic on there with good organic ingredients and not go through the certification process? It is hard and it is a lot of paperwork. It's not easy and it's a lot to keep up with, but it's worth it for the client. The client needs to know when they're eating organic. It's kind of like somebody working for what's coming to my heart is it's kind of like when I work for somebody versus working for myself. If I eat a product somebody makes, I don't necessarily know everything they've had to go through just to make that product. It is hard to be certified in it. It's not an easy task. And so I know that what we make, and I also know when I go, I have an appreciation when I go and buy somebody else's product. When I see that USDA on there, I'm like, okay, I know what they're going through to get that. Just like with kosher,
Hmm.
that's because that kosher mark, I mean, they come in every month to 2 months to do inspections. So it's 24/7 inspections.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah,
I had no idea. So
I didn't
what do
either.
you what do you know now about running a business that you wish you knew when you started?
How much people need help, not criticism, not criticism. I start to get emotional when I say it because now when I'll see couples in stores, especially in Whole Foods when I'm in there, my husband and I are stocking shelves in the local Whole Foods. I'll see a couple in there and hear them. Not too long ago, there was a couple started an organic ice cream, and they were just getting started and they were daydreaming and they happened to be in the bar aisle about to buy a bar. And I was listening to them and she was like, I wonder if this. And he was like, I wonder if this. And I said, and I introduced myself and I said, if you guys ever want to talk, come on over because we haven't had a lot of that. And I was just like, that's something, it's one thing to give a lot of advice. It's not easy for, I'm sure you've been given advice before, but to follow that advice sometimes could be a million steps to get to a result. And sometimes just having somebody to listen and just say, hey, look, just talk to me about what you're going through, and I'll be a sounding board for you without trying to give you every piece of advice that half of it, you don't even know how to do what they're saying. I don't
Hmm.
know if I'm making sense. It's like sometimes we just need an ear of, oh my gosh, I'm going through this and I don't know who to talk to. And then sometimes it's, hey, can I help you bypass some things and give you here's somebody's telephone number. Here's something that I learned. Maybe you don't go that route or maybe you go this route. You know, if you're going to be organic, maybe here's a number for the certifiers. Here's something because it was everything the hard way for us.
Wow. Well, I guess it would be boring if it was the easy way.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's been worth it. I'm not complaining. I mean, it's been worth it. Everything we've learned, I wouldn't trade it. We've learned it. Sometimes though it's good to just say, "Hey, I want to help somebody."
I'm glad that hasn't gone out of favor. What would you expect, say, 3 to 5 years from now, if we're having this conversation? How is eBars different from today?
You know, to say that we want to go around the world has a different meaning. We want to build a product that helps the immune system. And I had someone from Africa one time hold our bar and they were here visiting. And this stuck with me. We were making a bite size and they said, you know, this would be perfect for when we're on the run. And I was like, on the run, what do you mean? And they were like, when they're coming after our families because we're in ministry and we have to be on the run, we're grabbing anything we can grab. We have things like backpacks, suitcase things hidden where we can just grab it and go. And to have something that we can throw in here that we know is going to be good for our immune system, just to be able to, and I'm thinking, what? Like some people like moringa trees. Have you ever heard of a moringa tree?
No.
Well, a lot of moringa trees, I think in India, Africa, different things, we put moringa in some of our products. But a moringa tree, from what I've been told, has so many nutrients that you can eat the entire tree, root system and all. It's like that healthy. So people will grow these in the backyard and just go and pull leaves off of it. how many of us get to do that? I mean, how many of us really get to do it? And so to be able to put some of these, and so people like this man was familiar with some of the products we put into the bars. So in his mind, he's thinking, how do I survive if we're on the run? Where are we going to grab our food from? So when he said that, it hit my heart. I was like, oh my gosh, like I just know what we're doing is bigger than just making a bar to go in a bar aisle that's a snack. And I'm not downing bars in a bar aisle. It's just we're making them for a bigger purpose.
I think that's important.
Mhm.
The purpose-driven life, it's sold how many
Yeah.
millions of copies, it's like when you look up, then all the day-to-day tasks seem more valuable. What have you done professionally that you're most proud of?
Well, my faith, I believe in the Lord. And I remember there was a point where David and I said, we thought we knew the Lord, but we never knew him like this because the way he has carried us through some things. And I remember when my son came home, I would say it'd have to be as a mom because again, I was always looking over my shoulder like that survival mode. And I remember where I just had that pivotal moment 8 years into this journey. And it was right at a time when my son was coming back home and he lived with me. He lived with us for a couple of more, maybe another year or two. And he's back at college now. He's 24, but I'm trying to remember it was with him because there was such a switch of he was used to me being so overprotective and scared all the time and always looking over my shoulder that now he saw someone that knew my mom knows who she is. And I do. I know who I am. I know why we're doing this. And if I had to stop tomorrow, it doesn't dictate who I am. And the things in the world don't dictate who I am. And so I started going out doing what's called the midnight hour, where I would just talk to people who were like me, sitting up at midnight, waiting on the phone to ring, or when's my child going to come home, or maybe going through a divorce or going through things of losing people. And I was like, you know what? I'm 51 and it's taken me all these years. And I was like, I think now that I can just go and sit out there with others and say, okay, this is what I walked through. In all my imperfections, he's my perfection. And I just want to share it with you now and help others come through that. And I think that's the biggest difference in my life. I know who I am and
You know,
I know whose I am.
doesn't matter, you know whose you are. I like that. What are you optimistic about?
You know, I'm optimistic every day I get up. It can't express unless you've known me like some people that have known me my whole life, they're like, who are you? Because I was always the glass half empty. And it has every day that I wake up, it is not easy to come out of living life like that my whole life to truly coming into this place of what an amazing day. Even if it's raining, even if it's storming, what an amazing day. And I remember even the ice storm coming and hitting. I was just like, I don't know. I can't explain it other than this. Every day I wake up now, I'm optimistic that it is an amazing day. If this help, I mean, this might put something in perspective too. Recently, we were asked to house someone and their family that had been given a certain amount of time left. And she's a 20-year-old young lady and nursing school. And we didn't know them, but she needed a place to stay during some treatments. And so we said yes, and we don't have a big place. And we were like, let's do it. And so they came in and I watched this family. They're still here with us. It's been a couple of weeks. And I watched them get up every day fighting for each other. And I'm just like, every day. And I found myself, because we were putting in 12 hours, sometimes at work, and I'm barely standing. And I walk in and I see them. And I'm like, it's been a great day. That's how I view it. And
Wow.
Lord just keeps giving me reminders. That's how it should be viewed.
I love that. So, it's a great day. It's great to have you. Where can people learn more about eBars, your company?
So it's just eBars.com, and make sure you put an S on it. So eBars with an S.com. And then they can email me if they need to email us. There's an email website on there. I just tell people, if you email me directly, I really need some time to get back with you, because we're in the heart of this. We do some of the production with the crew. We're in shipping with, we're doing it all. So they can email me Jan, Jan at eBars.com, or go to eBars.com and check it out.
Excellent. So yeah, don't forget the S, people, eBarsPlural.com. Well, Jan, please come back, but thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate it.
I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Matt Balaker podcast. To learn more, please check out mattbalaker.com and encourage your friends to like, subscribe, and share. Really appreciate it.